Welcome to In Defense Of, making the case for overlooked, forgotten or derided movies in 5 minutes or less. If you don't have 5 minutes, here's 5 seconds. Today, In Defense Of, Phantasm II, a 1988 horror sci-fi action blend bursting with almost too many weird and wonderful ideas.
You think that when you die, you go to heaven. You come to us.
Two men take to the road in hunt of the creature that murdered their families. The inhuman Toolman, who seems to be wiping out America one small town at a time. In their pursuit, Mike and Reggie encounter mutated dwarves, alien worlds, and the franchise's calling card, flying spheres that kill. Horror's main draw in the early 1980s was the slasher. In 1984 that all changed with Wes Craven and A Nightmare on Elm Street. It was no longer enough to have a silent killer stealthily offing teenagers. Freddy Krueger meant villains could now be charismatic wisecrackers from beyond the grave. Death sequences were redefined as centerpiece spectacles with gore effects pushed to horrifying and cartoonish limits. Horror had turned a corner from a period of restrained minimalism to a period of creative abundance. This is a span where a man in a shack in the middle of nowhere is a hilarious riotous succession of brilliant scenes, where a horror film can have so many weird concepts that a sadomasochistic demon summoned by a puzzle is the B-plot. This was prime time then for Hollywood to revive one of the most inventive shockers of years gone by, Phantasm. Cheap as chips and shot by amateurs, 1979's Phantasm follows a kid who realises the mortician in his small town may be a bit off. It's the Alice in Wonderland of horror with a rabbit hole that grows forever wider and forever deeper. Phantasm II is better. It jumps forward 7 years, abandons the small town and takes us on the road. This is absolutely the best decision the film could have made. No longer is the threat of the Toolman a local oddity. Now it's a national crisis. Phantasm II takes us somewhere and that makes all the difference. It is a beautiful exercise in world building. The world of Phantasm II is one in which the apocalypse appears to be happening without anyone realising. The Toolman is decimating small towns, reanimating their dead to do his bidding, crushing them into dwarf form to be shipped off as slaves to another dimensional planet. He's protected by these weaponised sentient bulls. Why? What's the explanation for any of this? Doesn't matter. We only know as much as our leads do, and they aren't concerned with why the Toolman is doing this, only that he needs to be stopped. And that's the magic of constructing a story like this. Get an audience on board with the mission, make your world consistent, establish rules even if they're fantastical, and the audience won't become frustrated with unanswered questions. But the main reason I love Phantasm II is that it's just cool. A fearless flamethrower-toting psychic paired up with an ice cream vendor turned chainsaw-equipped double shotgun-wielding badass. The ideas introduced in Phantasm I are stellar, but I'm so much more interested when they're encountered by these guys than a bored, nosy teenager. That car, man, I don't even drive, I don't get the affinity for cars, but even I can see that thing is a beauty. It's a character unto itself. Oh, and the theme tune. That is straight up one of the best horror themes ever.
It gets hard on the road. Reg, you're thinking with your wrong head.
Phantasm II is a bit of an oddity in the overall franchise. Throughout its 37-year history, the Phantasm cast has remained the same. Fans have seen the actors age on screen, which adds a unique and epic dimension to the pursuit of the Toolman. We've seen principal actor Michael Baldwin go from a scrawny kid to middle age. Except in Phantasm II, where he's replaced by a pre-breakout James LeGros. Reggie and the Toolman are played by the same amateur performers from the original, but everyone else is a professional actor, like Harry Johansson from Rage and Riot? It's also the only entry where the Jodie character doesn't appear, and Phantasm II's studio backing means it has a glossy sheen that sticks out like a sore thumb against the indie aesthetic of the rest. For these reasons, many Phantasm fans dislike Phantasm II because it's the black sheep of the series. Total Recall. That's a film bursting with so many imaginative concepts. The first time I saw it, I was blown away. So much violence, swearing, nudity, aliens, mutants, guns, planets, deaths. I didn't know that films could be like that. Evil Dead 2 is probably the best direct comparison. A sequel which expands on the core ideas of the low-budget original while upping the ante in every way possible. It shares the same silly but tense tone, as well as the same special effects team.
Suck on this.
Phantasm II is a horror film remarkable for its wealth of imagination in a time where the entire genre had creativity to burn. I want to go on the road with Mike and Reggie investigating mausoleums and graveyards. Phantasm II's world is one I want to explore in depth, and while 3 further sequels have done that, they just don't have that swagger and thrust that this one brings to the screen. Phantasm has a far-reaching influence that you may not be aware of. In 1995, Roger Avary won the Best Screenplay Oscar for co-writing Pulp Fiction with Quentin Tarantino. Remember the scene where Bruce Willis scours a pawn shop for a weapon? That was directly inspired by the hardware store scene in Phantasm II, straight from Avary's mouth. He even wrote a screenplay for the ultimate conclusion to the Phantasm series. It never got made, but Avary did show up in Phantasm IV. In more recent times, upon seeing the designs for a shiny silver stormtrooper in his new Star Wars film, J.J. Abrams immediately thought of Phantasm's balls and in a fitting tribute christened the character Captain Phasma. Of course, we're all familiar with the actor under the mask of Captain Phasma, Harry Johansson from Rage and Riot?